All right, there we go. I had a big old Skype logo next to me, but now I have Mr. Ultra David coming from his own home right now. So there we go. How's it going, everybody? This is the Ultra Chen TV show, aka the Tuesday show. I'm James Chen.
And I'm Ultra David.
There you go. There's Ultra David. So there he is. All right. So, yep. David could not make it here today, so we are going to do this through technology with Skype. Yeah. So here we go. All right. Exactly. So there we go. Okay, so we've got some stuff to talk about today. As you can see here in the top... Ooh, my arm is getting chopped off this way. In the topics over here, we've got Chile and the Latin American FGC. Lots of results, lots of events this weekend. Starfire impressions. And then we've also got the MvCI video leak. Let's talk about that for a little bit. And then just general FGC news.
Sounds right.
Okay, cool.
So you were in Chile, huh?
Yes, I was in Chile. So the Chile FGC last year for a gaming festival called Festa Game, they flew out Mr. Mike Ross to that event. And this year, Mike, has disappeared off the face of the planet. So Cane Blue River has suggested bringing me out there. And so we talked and got that arranged. And I basically got flown all the way to Chile and attended their tournament there. Not their tournament, but their gaming convention, Festa Game, out there. And basically got to... I was basically counted as one of the Twitch partners at the event, so I was basically being taken care of mostly by Twitch down there, which was really cool because they had Twitch representatives from Mexico, from Chile, from Argentina. They had like all the different Twitch representatives, kind of like what GamerBee does for Taiwan, all out there, and they had a bunch of partners, the streaming people out there to do a bunch of streaming exhibitions, but at the same time, it was like their own little mini E3. And to be honest, it was super, super eye-opening and very, very cool to see. Their video games... Because remember how when we went to Kuwait, it was like, you know what, it's cool because even in Kuwait, like the FGC, the video game scene is just like every other video game scene. And, Chile was kind of the same way. Lots of very big video game fanatics there, lots of cosplay going on, and just a lot of people very excited for games. And though the one thing I will say, though, was at Festa Game, there was a lot of fighting game presence there. It was really interesting. Yeah, there was a lot of, there was an Old Spice sponsored booth where they just had a bunch of stations set up with different fighting games, and there was this big old long line to come in and play that.
Old Spice sponsored it?
Yeah, Old Spice had it sponsored there. It was like an Old Spice booth. I had like these pictures from it. It's crazy. And then they had an Injustice 2 tournament. I saw Ed Boon there. I ran into Ed Boon. I met Ed Boon in Chile, of all things. Then one guy by the handle Salaryman had set up a school in the back. It was just like an FGC school, basically, where people just went there and played, and they had like some of the pro players from Chile, or like the expert players in Chile, like teaching them how to play and everything like that. And I had a long talk with Salaryman too, and he was even saying like one of the main reasons why he wants to have that little school there is so young kids can play, they can encourage them to play, but also so that they could advise them and make sure they don't get like taken advantage of by like some teams or the whole the fake sponsors kind of thing, And
that sounds awesome.
Yeah,
that's something I'm always trying to get across too, so that's really cool.
Yeah, so it's really, really cool. They were doing a lot of cool things like that. And then also, which took place that weekend, was the premiere of a documentary on Mysterio, the player who qualified for Capcom Cup last year but couldn't make it due to visa issues. And it's literally like a university over there just decided to do this project here to promote him and show, the struggles of, that his kind of situation. Great player, couldn't make it because of visa issues and all these other things like that. So just trying to bring awareness and everything like that. So I don't know, it was super cool. Like there was just a lot of stuff going. They did some exhibition matches for Mysterio on stage before they played the movie, and they had me commentate on the stage. So I was like on stage doing commentary, which was fun, which was funny because they made me do King of Fighters, and I was like, okay.
All right. Yeah. How was that?
Actually went pretty well, surprisingly. So it went decently. So yeah, but I did that. I did some Street Fighter V for some exhibition matches. But yeah, overall it was super cool. But I mean, I don't know. Is there any questions that you had or anything like that that you wanted to ask?
It sounds like a really cool event. Was King Blue River there? I mean, I don't know too many players from Chile. It's basically him and Zero, I guess.
Right. Yeah, King Blue River was there. He was actually working at one of the booths there doing like some exhibitions and beating people up in Tekken, actually.
Okay.
He basically learned a little Tekken so he could beat people up on the streams and stuff. Not on the streams, but like at the stations and everything like that. So, but he was there. Dude, there was so many people there. I can't even tell you how well they took care of me out there. Like, everybody was so nice and super friendly. And one thing that was weird, though, I will say, is that this is my first time in the Southern Hemisphere, so it was actually winter.
Yeah.
So it was like 45 degrees or something, so I was just like, oh my god, it's so cold. But
I mean, yeah. I guess I wouldn't have thought about that either, to be honest.
Yeah, so I mean, like, someone actually told me, they're like, hey, make sure you bring warm clothes, and I was like, interesting. But yeah, it's interesting though, because honestly, I got a really good glimpse at what the FGC is like down there, and it's really interesting because you can see the kind of passion that they have. You can see they have probably every bit as much drive and every bit as much passion for the fighting game community. But man, their resources is just not the same, you know.
Sure, yeah.
They're telling me that, like, you know, I think it was, it might have even been Nico who was saying, you know, just getting a regular job down there, like, he probably makes more money going around and winning small tournaments here and there in the States and everything like that, you know. Because really, it's hard to really get any sort of real scene out there. And, you know, so a lot of players, it's, you know, it's tough. It's tough for me to see. Because a lot of them, it seems very much like they're putting a lot of hopes and dreams on, like, trying to become either a prominent streamer or a prominent fighting game player or even a prominent speedrunner and stuff like that. And, you know, they see what the kind of success is going on in the U.S. and they just can't achieve a lot of that same things, you know. In a way, it kind of opens your eyes up a little bit to some of the things that, you know, King Blue River Nico is infamous for saying now, you know, in the past few months and everything like that. You know, there's definitely an understanding that like, you want to talk about the struggle being real in the fighting game community, but the struggle there is like infinitely harder than anything that we're going for over here right now, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense, but that certainly is it's like a good perspective. So it's good to see that, to have the perspective on that, but that definitely does suck, and I'm sure it's going to be tough to get out of that. Where in Chile was this?
This was in Santiago, actually. Okay, so it was the capital of Chile, and you know, they told me that Chile is like the nicest country in Latin America, and Santiago is the nicest city in Latin America. So, I mean, certainly, like, the hotel that Twitch put me up in was, I mean, like, fancy, like, any hotel I think I've had since, like, the fighting game community stuff has started. Wow. I mean, it was like, it was a swanky little hotel. It was the W, and it was a really, it was a really nice hotel. I was like, whoa. Yeah. And the area that we stayed in was this place they called Sanhattan. So it's like the business district of Santiago. So it's Sanhattan. But yeah, I mean, like, and it's funny too because, you know, I know last week, for example, you know, I got blown up for saying, you know, things about Street Fighter V, you know, and the FGC and stuff like that. But you talk to those guys in South America. And I was like, you know, they're like, I was talking to some people and they're like, I don't like Street Fighter V. I'm like, why don't you play the other games? It's like, there is no scene for these games. Like, there is no scene. There's no hope for these games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Street Fighter is the only one that will allow us to get anywhere and anything like that. And, you know, that's the kind of thing that I was referencing a lot of the times last week, is that, you know, it is the game that has that potential, and other games don't quite have that yet, you know, and so...
Yeah. Yeah, that is, I think, to some degree, a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, as long as everybody believes that it's the only game that's capable of doing it, then it will be. Right. And I'm not saying that if everybody just believed hard enough, then other games would be able to do it. But like, certainly, if nobody believes that other games can do it, then definitely they cannot.
Right.
I don't know what the other alternative is, but like, definitely if this continues, then nobody else for sure can. So, I don't know. I think that is a bummer. Yeah. But
I mean, I saw Injustice 2 tournaments down there. Too much. I know there's a Latin America circuit for Injustice 2. I think that some of it was played, like one of the qualifiers was played there. Like I said, I saw Ed Boon there. I saw an MKXL tournament. So there was definitely a lot of Injustice present. So hopefully NRS can also, seep in there and really, really try to help out the Latin America fighting game community. But at the same time, it's interesting because, we talk about this a lot with a lot of people, like, oh, hey, if you just work at it, if you just keep the scene consistent and everything like that, you can get there and blah, blah, blah. And it's interesting because, like, I'm starting to look at it, and one of the things that kind of hit me in particular was there's a lot of responsibility on our side, too, in the U.S., to help grow the FGC, help grow the esports side of things, because all the companies down there are seeing what's happening in the States, and they're going, oh, this seems worth sponsoring. You know what I mean? So the video game, the esports thing seems more appealing to them because of what they see is going on in the States. And so, like, I feel like we have a lot of responsibility to not only keep growing it, but to promote their stuff and, really push for a lot of the stuff that they're doing down there. And I mean, after seeing all those guys and seeing just how passionate they are and just seeing how like into fighting games they were, like, I feel like I need to like talk about Latin America events like way more. I think that'd be great. And I'm sure part of the calculus of them bringing you down was to have exactly that kind of revelation. Right. Yeah. Right. Was hoping that maybe this is a way to get more eyeballs on what we're doing. Yeah. I know that for the Kuwaiti guys, that was definitely part of why they wanted to bring people up. And they was explicit. They were hoping that people would begin to talk about their scene more than people had been, including us. Right. And to some degree, mission accomplished. I feel. I don't know if it's as much as they would like it to, but certainly to some degree. So hopefully for Chile and for other countries in Latin America that works as well. But like at least it's certainly better now, at least from my perspective, what I've been seeing. It seems better now than even just it was a few years ago. Like, I feel like already I know more players from South America. I know of them at least. I hear results more often. Players from Brazil have been to Capcom Cup a few times now. Right, 3 years in a row, Right, I mean, we're... good chance that last year a player from Dominican Republic made it. Same. Oh, David, hang on a second. I lost you. Oh, hang on. Try again. Talk again.
Hey. Hello.
Oh, there we go. You're back. Okay, continue.
So I mean, anyway, just more and more players are making themselves known in whatever way, and definitely part of that has been because of things like the Capcom Pro Tour and now Injustice Pro Series and stuff like that. But that can't be the whole thing of it. There has to be more than that. Right. And I know that there are tournaments down there and events down there, so it's good that you have been to one and you can talk about it a little bit more personally than previously. Yeah, and it's crazy there too because a bunch of people came by. One of the teams there, so there's 2 games that were being developed exclusively by, Chilean game developers down there. One of them was Omen of Sorrow, which was a fighting game. They actually were at EVO this year. In fact, the combat designer, Felipe, I met at EVO. And then when I went down to Chile, I ran into him and was like, hey, it was really cool. But I didn't get a chance to mess with the game when I was at EVO. But he got to show me a lot of the game while I was there, and so I actually got to play the game a lot. And I really like the direction that it's coming up in right now. And like knowing that there's like only like 20-some people working on it, is pretty crazy to see how far the game is coming right now. And
he's even talked about like, giving us like beta codes or something like that, or like giving us beta copies so we can test it and everything.
Of course.
But,
certainly happy to do so. But, 20-something people is a pretty good size for an indie team. So that's a good sign.
Yeah. And dude, I mean, like, they have a lot of really interesting ideas. It's like, how Unreal has the grid system in the game? Like, this game has, like, the one unique thing that stands out to me in this game is that there's, like, one particular meter that, like, goes up and down depending on the actions, and if it goes down, it acts kind of like a guard break where you get into Doom mode, and you can't do special moves anymore until it comes back, and then, if it fills all the way up, you can use that bar as a super meter to do, like, powers, but then if you do it too much, you put yourself empty, so you're in danger of Doom. Like, there's this really kind of interesting tug-of-war battle with this meter that's individual for each character, and I really liked that kind of idea. It was like a neat, complex, and interesting way to manage resources, because the resources aren't just for super cancels or special moves or those kind of things, but it also affects your ability to block. And it was really interesting too, because the guys who were developing it, like Felipe, he was really aware of a lot of things. Like, this game has recoverable health, but it's big. Like, you get a lot. Like, you can get a lot of health back. Like, that's kind of one of the things about the game. It's designed in a way so that, whenever your meter resets towards the middle, as it goes up, you gain health back as well. And, but he was saying, like, there's a problem right now because I didn't even, like, think about this. He said, like, this is a problem because in neutral right now, when you're playing footsies, individual hits don't mean as much because you get hit and then wait and then they gain their life back. And they gain a lot of that health back, so you don't actually get to lose that much health.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah,
makes sense.
But, I mean, that's the thing. It's like you could see elements of all these different fighting games, and you could totally tell that they were very aware of all the little, like, subtle details about, like, what to do and, like, problems with the footsies and stuff like that. And so I was even talking about the fact, like, as you get hit, that meter drains, and so that you go into Doom mode, and I was like, man, if you hit somebody and beat them up and they go to Doom mode, it's like snowball effect. Like, you are getting rewarded for hitting them already, and now you put them into Doom mode.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, yeah, we're totally aware of that. We're trying to balance that out.
Okay, all right. That's cool.
It was really neat. I thought that was really cool. So
that is cool. Yeah.
But the game was called Omen of Sorrow, and like I said, I really liked what was coming. And then another group showed me this game called Level 99 Axe Rage.
Okay.
And it's a really beautifully drawn game, by the way. I love the art style because it's very unique to it doesn't look like anime and it doesn't look like American art. You know what I mean? Okay. It's got a very distinct flavor, but it's like a Shovel Knight Metroidvania kind of game. So instead of a shovel, you kill everything with an axe, but you get powers, and it's Metroidvania style. You get power-ups, you get extra abilities, and so I was playing that a little bit, and there was a lot of like little subtle homages to a lot of different games. There's even a parry in the game. Okay. So like there'll be things that shoot little bullets at you, and if you tap forward at the last second, you can parry it like in Street Fighter 3.
Oh, that's pretty cool. All right.
So there was a lot of cool ideas there. So yeah, I mean, and I was told that game was being made by 2 people. 2 people.
Wow. All right.
So yeah, really impressive stuff going on there. So again, yeah, I was just really happy to see how much they love video games down there. I loved seeing the passion and seeing those guys make those video games. And man, that Latin America fighting game community was really hyped. They were really excited, and I mean, like, you can tell they watch. Right? Because every time they talked about it, they were up to speed on everything that's been going on in the FGC.
I think that's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely a global thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the saddest part for me was I just don't feel like I spent enough time there.
Yeah, man, you had a quick trip.
I literally flew out in a red eye, landed on Saturday, got like 2 hours of sleep, and then went to the festival, and then hung out the whole day. Like, there was a Twitch party that we went to at this. It was a video game themed restaurant called Insert Coin, where they serve drinks like in Donkey Kong barrels and stuff like that. It was
that's pretty cool.
Which you could buy, and I asked, like, where did they get the Donkey Kong barrels from? And the guy told me the mom of the guy who runs the restaurant literally carves them.
Dang, all right. That's awesome, man.
Like, she literally makes them, and I was like, but you can buy them. They're like, yeah, then she makes more. I was like, Jesus.
That's really cool.
But yeah, then I slept, went back, and then halfway through the day, I flew home. So literally, I was only there for a day and a half. I probably didn't get to see enough of, you know, the environment, the city, and all that
Yeah, that's
stuff.
what I was going to ask about. So you didn't really get to see Santiago or anything? You didn't get to, like, do stuff?
I went to a few, like, shopping districts to eat and everything like that, but I didn't get to see, like, not like what we did at First Attack last year, for example.
Right.
But the funniest part about it was, though, that the crew that was on my flight going in was the same crew on my flight going out. And they saw me and they were like, what did you do? Like,
you mean the flight crew?
Yeah, the flight crew. Like, the airplane flight crew. They're like, you didn't even spend a day there. Like, what did you do? I was like, yeah, I was only there for a day and a half.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But, yeah, I thought that was kind of funny because they were so confused. They're like, that's a lot of flying to do.
I mean, it is a lot of flying.
Yeah, it was. But overall, it was a great trip. And I just told everybody, since I was there for so short, that just means I have to go back. So
yeah.
And I'm definitely eager to do so. Very cool. To do so. So, yeah.
I'm really glad that you had a good time. It sounds like fun. Sounds like people are cool. And yeah, nice work.
Yeah, I was really surprised at the community out there, and like I spent I took a selfie with like so many different people just so I could tweet them all out and just like thank them for taking care of me and for being so awesome and stuff like that. So yeah, here's to the Latin America scene, and I hope it continues to grow. So I'm excited for them. All right,
man.
Yeah, I know, probably thought I was smuggling or something like that. They asked if I was working for some sort of flight crew or something like that. They're like, why are you going back and forth? Someone told me that one-day trips also could be potentially booty calls, but, you know, that was definitely not what I was doing.
An intercontinental booty call.
Yeah, pretty much.
I guess it probably happens sometimes, but all right.
Hey, if I was baller enough,
I've never done that.
Why not, right? So
I've done international.
Oh, man.
That's true, actually. But, not intercontinental.
Okay. All right. Any other thing that you want to mention about that?
I think that's all for me.
Okay, cool. Do you want to just move on to the next topic? Go to all the results, or do you want to take a break?
I would like to take a break so that I can try to fix my headphone situation, because this whole time I've been listening to basically the loudest frying bacon over a robot voice that I've ever heard, and it's really weird. So, yeah, you are trying to make fun of it, but you actually already sound like that. I think the only reason I even know you're trying to make fun of it is because I think that's what you were doing. I just expected, but that's really what it sounds like.
Damn,
so,
okay.
Try to do that while we do break.
Well, Kane Blue Rivers in the chat, definitely want to shout outs to him. He definitely took care of me a lot as well during that event, so shout outs to Nico as well. So, all right, cool. So let's take a quick break. Let's see if we can get this audio situation taken care of. All right, be right back, guys. Let's go to break, please. Jesus. Come on, let's go to break, please. Man. Okay.